I'm 30, and I'm starting a YouTube channel. I just figured we needed more millennial white guys talking about movies and music on the internet. In all seriousness, I've wanted to start a YouTube channel since like 2007 when I was watching Mitchell Davis during snow days. But I'm also an incredibly anxious person, and the mere thought of putting myself out there and receiving any sort of negativity, whether it be legitimate criticism or troll comments, would send me to probably live off-grid like Ron Swanson when Tammy 1 is coming around.
Godspeed.
But I am no longer lost in the woods like Christoph, and I am here. And after a few years that included hits such as a pandemic, having a kid, getting fired, getting a new job, getting a second bachelor's degree, I'm not sure I remember how to be a person anymore. And I know that sounds dramatic, but it's kind of true. I think a lot of us dealt with that in the pandemic. Didn't see people for 2 years almost. Seriously, I used to make stuff all the time. Being a creative person is foundational to who I am. I mean, I used to have short films get into festivals around the country like Salem Horror Fest or Spooky Empire in Florida. So yeah, they were horror short films if you couldn't guess. I've also released 2 full albums of original music and a few singles as well. But since 2020, I really haven't done much of anything. It doesn't help that for the last few years I was getting that second bachelor's degree, so I literally had no free time. I was going to school full-time while working full-time while, having a wife and kids, so, free time, what's that? So I guess you could say I'm declaring this year my get back year, my bounce back year. And last year I actually gained 20 pounds. I guess I got that freshman 15 a little late and added some interest. But I've actually lost 15 of that already this year, which is probably why I'm more comfortable getting in front of the camera. And since I've got myself into a healthier spot, I figured it was time to make stuff again. And consistently make stuff. Hold me to it, you guys. I want to put out at least 1 video every week. And I want to talk about music and movies that I love. Specifically movies and probably horror movies, again, if you couldn't tell. And that's part of why I'm doing this, is for that sense of community. Like I said, I've been watching YouTube for over a decade now, decade and a half. And I'm ready to be a part of it. Plus, I'm hoping that talking about movies that I love and occasionally doing some music album reviews, doing retrospectives on movies that I loved growing up, maybe some hidden gems that people aren't really talking about, will maybe get my own creative juices flowing and I can make my own projects as well. As we get older, we realize that time is really our most valuable resource. And sometimes, as an adult with all these responsibilities, it can get hard to justify taking the time to do things you want to do for you. Even if that's something you want to do is watch weird B horror movies from the 80s. And I'm going to do that. And we're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. But this is just me committing to doing this. Because the difference between me and all these people that I respect that are doing what I want to do is that they hit record a decade ago. And I know I'm 2000 and late, but I'm ready to go. I guess in a way this channel is a way for me to fill that need I had as a high schooler who applied to work at Blockbuster every single month for 2 years, not realizing that they were in the midst of closing. And now there's a Five Guys burgers and fries there. So yeah, I want this channel to feel like that. I want it to feel like a video rental store in a mall next to a record store in like 2007. Like, these are my staff picks, if you will. And you should make a channel too. If you've ever thought about it, you should do it too. You should start with me and we should talk about this stuff together. Again, the difference between you and them is they hit record. And today I hit record. Even though my AC went out and I've been sweating my tail off all day. So I guess if we're just meeting, I should tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Izzy, this is Izzy Alive Video, and I've loved movies for as long as I can remember. I mean, I loved them so much that I got a degree in making them. Horror movies were a staple in my house growing up. The first one I ever saw was Friday the 13th, and that score alone, yeah, that terrified me. And then I think the first jump scare that ever got me was Freddy Krueger jumping out from behind something in the first Nightmare on Elm Street. But in this house, that guy right there, that's the king. I also have some hot takes there, like I really do love Halloween 6 and Halloween Ends, so I guess we can have some hot take videos later. Kevin Smith was also a huge figure in my household growing up. I mean, my parents were Gen Xers, so that makes sense. I remember in my screenwriting class in college, my professor literally laughed out loud when I told him my favorite movie was Mallrats, which I stand by.
This is for Brody.
And I actually have the original VHS that we had at our house when I was a kid still. I hope to get him to sign it one day. Because Mallrats is to me what Slacker is to Kevin Smith. It's the thing that got me into film, that made me think, oh, I can do that. This counts.
That kid is back on the escalator again. Leave it alone. What?
And music. Let's not forget about music. I love music. My dad was in a band when I was a kid. I've played music my whole life. I started writing songs in elementary school, which I'm sure were deeply poetic. But most of the stuff I do is pretty in the pop punk vein. I actually also play guitar for my friend's band Frenchie. You should check that out. But I also put out my own original music under this same name, Izzy Alive. You can check that out if you want as well. Kind of pop punk, new wavy, a little folksy at times. But I remember the first records I ever bought were Pearl Jam 10 and Green Day Dookie at Best Buy back in the day. And I remember the first Blink-182 record I got was my aunt's boyfriend gave me a copy of Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, which I promptly uploaded to my original Xbox and just listened to on repeat while playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. Now, those are the good old days. So welcome to Izzy Alive video. Be excellent to each other. I'll see you soon.